What creatine actually is. Most people have heard of creatine, but assume it is something only young bodybuilders use in the gym. The reality is very different, and the science behind what creatine does inside the body after 50 is genuinely surprising. Creatine is not a drug or an artificial chemical. It is a naturally occurring compound that your body produces on its own, primarily in the liver, and it is also found in small amounts in meat and fish. Think of creatine as a backup battery charger for your muscles and your brain. When your cells run low on energy during physical effort or mental work, creatine steps in to recharge them almost instantly. The problem is that after 50, your body produces less creatine naturally, and most people are not eating enough meat or fish to compensate for that drop. Research published in the Journal of the International Society of Sports Nutrition confirmed that creatine levels in both muscle and brain tissue decline measurably with age, creating an energy deficit in the exact tissues that need protection most during the second half of life. For the body, what it does to your muscles after 50. Here is where the research becomes genuinely exciting for anyone over 50 who wants to stay strong and independent as they get older. Muscle loss is one of the biggest threats to quality of life in later decades, and creatine has been shown in multiple studies to directly fight that process. A review published in the Journal of Strength and Conditioning Research analyzed data from hundreds of older adults and found that those who took creatine while doing resistance exercise gained significantly more muscle mass and strength than those who exercised without it. But here is the part most people do not expect. Creatine does not just help you build muscle faster. It also helps you keep the muscle you already have by reducing the rate at which muscle proteins break down between workouts. For someone over 50 whose muscles are already fighting a natural losing battle against age-related decline, this dual effect of building more and losing less is enormously valuable. You do not need to become a serious athlete for this to matter. Even modest strength improvements translate directly into better balance, fewer falls, and greater independence in daily life. For the brain, what it does to your brain after 50. This is the part of the creatine story that most people over 50 have never heard, and the research behind it is remarkable. The same energy recharging system that creatine supports in your muscles also operates in your brain. And your brain is actually one of the most energy-hungry organs in your entire body. Research published in the journal Neuropsychology found that older adults who supplemented with creatine for just 6 weeks showed measurable improvements in memory tasks and mental processing speed compared to those taking a placebo. But here is what makes this finding particularly relevant for people over 55. The brain's ability to produce and use energy efficiently declines with age in very similar ways to muscle tissue, and this energy shortage in brain cells contributes directly to the mental fog, slower thinking, and memory difficulties that many people notice in their 50s and 60s. Scientists now believe that maintaining adequate creatine levels in the brain may help protect against this cognitive slowdown. And some researchers are even investigating whether creatine supplementation could play a role in reducing the risk of neurodegenerative diseases like Parkinson's and Alzheimer's. Dosis: how much and when to take it. If the research has convinced you to consider creatine, the practical details matter, and they are simpler than most supplement advice makes them sound. The most well-studied and widely recommended form is called creatine monohydrate, which is the original and least expensive version. Despite what supplement marketing sometimes suggests, the fancier and more expensive forms of creatine have not been shown in research to work better than the basic version. The standard dose that most studies use is 3 to 5 grams per day, which is roughly 1 teaspoon. You do not need to do a loading phase where you take large amounts for the first week, which some older advice recommended. Research has shown that simply taking 3 to 5 grams consistently every day produces the same results over time without the digestive discomfort that higher loading doses sometimes cause. Timing does not matter much either. Taking it with a meal is fine, and may actually improve absorption slightly. The key is consistency. Creatine builds up in your tissues gradually over several weeks, so the benefit comes from daily use rather than occasional supplementation. Danger: who should be careful or avoid it? Creatine is one of the most studied supplements in history and has an excellent safety record in healthy adults. But there are specific situations where caution is genuinely important, particularly for people over 50 whose health picture is more complex than younger adults. The most important group to exercise caution is anyone with existing kidney disease or significantly reduced kidney function. Creatine itself does not damage healthy kidneys, and multiple studies have confirmed this clearly, but the kidneys are responsible for filtering the waste products that creatine metabolism produces. If your kidneys are already working below full capacity, adding creatine can increase their workload in ways that may not be ideal. This does not mean creatine is dangerous for everyone with mild kidney issues, but it does mean a conversation with your doctor before starting is not optional, it is essential. People taking medications that affect kidney function, including certain blood pressure medications and anti-inflammatory drugs commonly used by older adults, should also discuss creatine with their doctor before starting. Additionally, creatine causes your muscles to hold slightly more water, which means the number on the scale may go up by 1 to 2 kilograms in the first few weeks, even as your body composition improves. This is not fat gain, but it can be alarming if you are not expecting it. The bottom line. The bottom line for people over 50. Creatine is not a magic pill, and it is not going to undo decades of inactivity or replace a good diet and regular exercise. But within the context of a healthy lifestyle, it is one of the few supplements with genuinely strong evidence behind it for the specific challenges that people over 50 face, namely muscle loss, declining strength, and cognitive slowdown. Research published in Medicine and Science in Sports and Exercise found that older adults who combined creatine supplementation with resistance training consistently outperformed those who trained without it across measures of strength, muscle mass, and functional performance in daily activities. The real value of creatine after 50 is not about looking a certain way or performing at an elite level. It is about maintaining the physical and mental capacity that keeps you independent, sharp, and capable of doing the things that matter most to you for as many years as possible. For most healthy adults over 50, 3 to 5 grams of creatine monohydrate per day alongside regular resistance exercise represents one of the most evidence-backed and cost-effective investments available in long-term health.